Welcome back to Human Factors Technology. I'm Jared Degnan. This is the podcast where we dive into technology that uniquely harnesses human behavior. This is part 2 of my trip to the International Manufacturing Technology Show, otherwise known as IMTS. And in this episode, I am profiling a technology called ProGlove. Now, there are a lot of scanners out there, and this one is a wearable scanner. But it also has some interesting implications for worker safety and retention. Think about it. On average, a warehouse worker might scan between 1,000 and 2,000 items per day. And that's probably going to be on the low end when you consider that there are warehouses like Amazon with smaller units where the scans might be upwards of 2,000 to 3,000 per day. And that by itself is some serious ergonomic opportunity. Let's just talk about, wrist movements, thumb presses, all those fun things that we know are so important to reduce repetitive injuries. But to put this in perspective, think about some stats that come out of the Liberty Mutual Workplace Safety Index. They say that overexertion, which includes things like lifting, costs companies around $13 billion per year in direct costs alone. So I got a chance to talk to Charles Jackson, who is the head of North America for ProGlove, and we had a really great conversation about what this technology can do in terms of not only capturing data and making it easier for those scans to occur, but also looking out for the workers' interests. We ran through a ton of really interesting use cases, and I have to admit, I had a ton of fun in this interview. It's very fast-paced. He is full of energy. It was so awesome to talk to him. And what I want to do is I want to start off by just catching you up with day 2 of the show and what I learned about the state of human factors in manufacturing. And then from there, that gives me the springboard to talk about ProGlove and go into this interview with Charles. So I will leave you to that wonderful moment on the show floor where I talk about what I've learned, and then we'll throw it to the interview. And then, of course, we'll come back for some closing thoughts. It is now day 2 of the International Manufacturing Technology Conference, and I am no better off than I was earlier on. It's still been a little bit difficult to talk to some of these manufacturers about human factors. Now, here's what I have been finding, and it's been really interesting, is the fact that a lot of the manufacturers that I'm talking to, when they talk about human factors, they either have some amazing software associated with it, or they're talking about their customer experience. They're talking about e-commerce. And what I'm finding is there's different levels of engagement with customer experience. Obviously, some have very long lead cycles, but the ones that have the smaller lead cycles, the ones that do tooling and machining, they're the ones that actually need more customer experience, which is a very, very interesting concept. So the other thing that I'll mention is that I just got, I don't know if there we go. I have somebody who I've got, okay, interesting. So I just found out that I have another interview. All right, bye. Come with me as I cosplay as a podcaster who has their together.
So there you go, your gloves on. So there are really 2 disruptions in this. You've got the glove, okay? You've got the trigger, and then you've got the device you choose for the work you're doing. So imagine you're working the assembly line. Well, you'll probably only be doing 1,000, 2,000 scans a day. So you can go with a lower level scan volume. Or imagine you're at Amazon and you need 8,000 to 12,000 scans. Well, you're going to need a device that can handle that kind of working.
Okay.
So there you go. There's the. How's that feel?
It feels good. There's a little bit of the glove might need to be adjusted slightly.
I think.
Uh-oh, not automatic. Okay, there we go. That's great.
Of course, if the glove is not suitable, a lot of workers prefer the strap.
Okay.
The strap isn't only for if you take hot frozen foods.
Okay.
Obviously, it's minus 50. They need to have that over their wear. But it also is workers. Some workers don't like it all. And by the way, this is about the worker. We all know that leverage is growing. If you're a worker and you're reaching for that scanner constantly,
Scan your barcode. That's great. Okay.
if you're a worker, you have that leverage because we need to keep you. And if you're tired of reaching for that scanner, if you're tired of always dropping it, if you're tired of feeling that stress of moving a ton a day with that scanner, you want improvement, or you're going to cross the street. So you can imagine our first year with Amazon was under health and safety. The whole budget was financed by health and safety rather than the actual efficiencies we brought, which is about 3 seconds a scan. And now think of it. 3 seconds every scan.
That's amazing.
So if you're at 10,000 scans, you're suddenly in savings that are quite substantial. So you'll see us in the most opposite places. You'll see us at the shipping receiving of In-N-Out Burger. You'll see us in the preparation of orders at Barnes & Noble. You'll see us at assembly at Ford on the line. Recipe, anything that's anchored in barcode, and everyday life now is anchored in barcode. That's the lifeline of all. You have the ability to now remove that device and make it a wearable. And now the device itself is obviously linked to a tablet in your pocket or on your arm or on your cart, or it's linked to the assembly line itself. There you go. So tell me about yourself.
Awesome. Yeah. So I'm Jared.
Yeah, nice to meet you, Jared.
Nice to meet
Charles
you.
Jack.
Okay, nice to meet you, Charles. So I'm kind of here in two different capacities. Number one, I work with number one, I'm the host of a podcast called Human Factors Technology. Human Factors Technology.
Okay. Well, you're right up our alley.
Exactly. No, and you guys are right up my alley. So really, it's all about technology that either leverages human behavior or enhances human behavior.
Well, this is interesting because, where we are today and where we came from, and there's a lovely circle. You're going to like this story. Where we are today is, of course, our customers are asking for efficiency, and they're asking for us to answer the need of the worker, which is make my life easier.
Yes.
If you want to keep me. So we're part of that. But we're also part of that push now of what kind of AI is in this hardware? And how can they harvest that data? And is it easy to harvest that data? So suddenly our features that would resemble maybe a smartwatch, step count, movement, ergonomics. I'll give you an example. Imagine a worker's back from an injury. Well, you don't want him breaking the rules of overhead. Well, we turn on his device now to register and give him haptic feedback.
Yep.
And he's getting that feedback now as he moves. Exactly. Telling him that, whoa, you're pushing the line again. Come back, get friendlier with your body. The glove itself is able to acoustically talk to you. It's able to give you instruction. It's able to, the glove is able to give you haptic feedback. Is able to give you the actual light feedback. So there's a lot of that feedback from the sensor-rich side of it. So why did I say a circle? Because the glove, when it was originally invented, the idea was that it would be in that data harvesting angle of how much torque are you putting on a particular movement. All that censoring of assembly line. It originally was a project with BMW. And what happened was that the initial demands or results were seen to be immediate on barcoding, the savings. And so the actual trajectory of ProGlove has been now to refine this barcoding solution. And then suddenly we're back now in the full circle where our customers are asking for that data harvest. It's possible because of AI, the distribution of data, actually owning the data. So suddenly we find ourselves helping in heat mapping, so efficient picking. We find ourselves in the ergonomics. We find ourselves in the team viewer assembly. For instance, the GE Aerospace Distribution Center in Atlanta. You'll see the team viewer workers all knowing what they're picking, but they're all wearing the ProGlove associated with it. So suddenly we're part of that stage, that next data harvesting stage, all from a wearable, a convenient wearable for warehouse efficiency.
Yeah, one of the things I absolutely loved about this, so I love the way you're talking about the initial use cases, because I think that the vast majority of the folks at this event are going to come here and say, okay, great, scanning. Okay, I can clearly see you've got this great thing. You've got fastest time to scan and pack 50 parcels. So I can imagine, I can see that this is really, really amazing, and it's the core use case. However, what really got me excited when I was talking with Kevin was the fact that you do have this data capture, and it is something that, as we go more digital, the rise of distribution centers, you see how much work goes into putting in Amazon distribution centers and God knows how many other types of distribution centers.
And you're hitting on something here. We're not intrusive. The worker wants to wear the glove.
Yeah.
So now we have a glove the worker wants to wear. We have a device on it. We know what he's done for that day. From a trending point of view, we can see whether a DC center or warehouse is in a good mood. We can see when that mood is changing. We can help mitigate maybe workforce dislocation, strikes, where unsatisfaction, just by watching the trends.
Yeah.
We also can watch movements. Imagine we can see that some plants, there's a lot of standby, a lot of standing around, or some DC centers, a lot of movement. Well, we know just from those trending that maybe we should be helping DC centers 6 and 7 that we see the labor is not rightly allocated. There's a better allocation. Let's look at the ones that have better allocation of labor, see what they can teach the rest of the organization. So we have a lot of that going on, a lot of push and pulling, because we work with. You can imagine that the easy scalability of the solution means that the big players have adopted now. So from Amazon, we said Ford, BMW, Mercedes, General Dynamics, Rockwell. We're talking about GE. We're talking about big players, and these players, they're not letting us sit back. They want that data and they want to use it.
They're pushing you.
Yeah. So that's what's happening now. We're building up our machine learning, our ability to support them. We've already done several use case solutions with Mercedes, with Ford, and now we're just being pulled in every direction.
So talk to me. One of the big, this podcast is all about human factors. So I can imagine that distributors, manufacturers love this. Absolutely love this. Data is gold for them, and this just gives them so much data. And the question is, when a worker assesses this, what would you say to a worker that might be concerned about privacy? What would you say to a worker that actually has to say, okay?
It's a great question. It is the question, isn't it?
It is.
And anybody at that level, from Ford to, they don't want to know the worker, because once they cross that line, they're back to what they were trying to solve.
Yeah.
The whole point here is keeping workers satisfied. So they've got to watch the trends. They've got to make it so they want to wear them.
Yep.
The worker's happy to wear them. You can't. There's a line not to cross there.
Yeah.
And we've seen it internationally. That line is not crossed. And the worker would know if they were crossed.
So you anonymize this.
We anonymize it. We have to in Europe, of course.
Okay, of course.
It's the basis.
GDPR.
Exactly. It's the basis of it. But the employers, the big boys, they don't want to know either. It's very interesting. It's about worker satisfaction. It's about lowering that churn, keeping them happy. And now, how can they make it more efficient?
Yeah.
Trends say a lot more than one individual worker.
Mm-hmm. Now, curious, I spoke to a couple folks the other day about non-desk employee engagement. So obviously, from a white collar perspective, we're used to employee incentive programs where you can cheer somebody or you can incentivize, et cetera.
Gamification.
Exactly. So that's where I'm going on this. Like, have you discussed gamification with this?
That is being implemented for a couple of years now. We have companies, we have partners such as Barcoding, these very good partners across the U.S., across the world, but the U.S. leads there with gamification. So rewarding those that have the most scans or the least steps during the day, they can turn, if they want, play the game of challenging themselves, and they know the data, and then they can work with whatever teammate they want to compete against. So that's going on right now with gamification. verification of the results
Very cool.
at the very local level. Interesting.
Great.
Pleasure meeting you. Please.
So what else? So what's the future of this? I think that obviously you've got some amazing use cases, and it sounds like you're really pushing the envelope.
We're at the beginning of that part. We're, the analytics were there, the data was there, the sensors were there. It was when were we going to cross over? And everybody wants to say COVID, but the trend was there. AI is the big step now. So what we're going to see is wearables integrate with each other much better. So the glove with the TeamViewer glasses, sensors on the body, it'll all depend on what the worker is willing to accept. What we see already is companies that are trying to help in ergonomics and so on. The worker, he doesn't see any benefit for himself. The scanner, he does. The TeamViewer, they do. Now, the world seems to be stuck between, not stuck, but it seems to be it's a glove issue and a glass issue. And I think what you're going to see over the next couple of years is those two things become almost fused together.
Very cool. All right. Well, Charles, thanks so much for taking the time.
Nice and fun. Thanks.
Like I said, it was a great interview, and I really appreciate Charles for taking the time to talk to me about ProGlove and all the cool things that they want to do with it. I think it's definitely a technology to look at, particularly when you think about the expansion of our on-demand economy and how many warehouse workers there are now and how many warehouse workers there are going to be in the future. So I hope you guys enjoyed this episode of Human Factors Technology. As you can tell, I'm doing just a little bit to tweak the quality of the show. I am probably going to start de-emphasizing the video, even though I will have the video interviews available on YouTube. I am going to try to go back to my podcaster roots, so you'll see maybe I don't frame the video as well. I have the microphone in front of me because I want the premium on that audio for you guys. But that being said, I really do appreciate everybody who's tuning in. I think we have somewhere in the neighborhood of about 250 to 300 subscribers on the regular right now, and that's amazing to me. In only 5 or 6 episodes that we've been able to achieve this. So please keep spreading the message. I have some amazing interviews that are coming up after this. Particularly, I'm looking at some Atlanta startups that I want to profile. Some are in the ergonomics space, some are in the software space, but it's going to be really interesting. I'm also going to take the next episode and I'm really going to focus in on some interesting technologies that help design thinking. In fact, the next episode is going to be all about personas and how generative AI can help us build better personas. And it's going to include some really cool tips and tricks that I have picked up and how to create your own virtual persona that acts and reacts like your favorite user persona. So with that little teaser in mind, again, I thank you so much for tuning in. Please like, subscribe, share, talk about this. Really appreciate everybody tuning in. That being said, everyone, stay human, and we'll catch you next time on Human Factors Technology.